The story begins with a beautiful young woman with long, vibrant pink hair tied back in a high ponytail. She is sitting at a dining table, holding a pair of chopsticks with practiced grace. Picking up a small, succulent piece of food, she turns toward her companion with a gentle, encouraging expression. "Do not just focus on eating rice," she advises warmly. "Try this dish. The food here is also very famous." Her eyes reflect a sincere desire to share a delightful culinary experience, highlighting her thoughtful and hospitable nature. Across the table, the atmosphere suddenly shifts. A man with sharp, handsome features and dark hair looks back at her. The frame focuses closely on his eyes, deep violet-blue pools that seem to pierce through the casual setting. There is an unmistakable intensity in his look, a silent command or perhaps a hidden expectation that hangs heavy in the air. His expression is unreadable, bordering on a cold stoicism that contrasts sharply with the woman's earlier warmth. Caught under the weight of his stare, the pink-haired woman freezes. Her initial confidence falters and a flush of nervous realization washes over her face. She holds her chopsticks mid-air, her thoughts racing in a panicked internal monologue. "Don't tell me that he wants me to feed him right here." The silence between them becomes palpable, marked only by the ... in her speech bubble, as she grapples with the social pressure and the potentially intimate implication of his silent demand. Seeking a way to break the tension, or perhaps just wanting to enjoy more of the meal, the pink-haired woman turns to another companion, a girl with short, wavy blonde hair named Tian Tian. With a slightly strained but polite smile, she asks, "Tian Tian, the food here is very good. Can you help me buy another part?" Tian Tian, looking slightly surprised by the sudden request, responds with a simple, sure." This interaction provides a brief reprieve from the heavy atmosphere at the table. As the scene concludes, the pink-haired woman is shown in profile, her gaze following Tian Tian as the blonde girl walks away toward the food stalls in the background. The sun shines brightly over the open-air setting, but the woman's expression remains contemplative and somewhat troubled. The distance between her and her friend emphasizes a sense of isolation, leaving her to face the intense presence of the man once again.
Driven by the heavy silence and his undeniable presence, the pink-haired woman finally gives in to the unspoken request. With a hand that trembles slightly from nerves, she extends her chopsticks toward him. The dark-haired man closes his eyes, accepting the gesture with a calm, almost regal composure as he takes the food from her. The air between them hums with a new kind of tension, no longer just cold, but unexpectedly intimate, as she watches him closely, her own face a mixture of surprise and shy compliance. The perspective shifts to a tight close-up, focusing on the moment of contact. The small morsel of food is placed gently into his mouth. This fleeting, silent moment emphasizes the break in his stoic armor. For a brief second, the power dynamic shifts as he allows her to care for him in this small, personal way. Having tasted the food, the man's stern demeanor finally cracks into a genuine, albeit small, smile. "That's delicious," he admits, his voice likely smoother and warmer than before. Relieved that her gesture was well received, the woman lets out a soft, airy laugh, her eyes crinkling with a newfound brightness. "Haha, you like it, is good," she replies, the previous awkwardness momentarily replaced by a shared sense of genuine enjoyment under the clear blue sky. However, the man's playful or perhaps demanding nature quickly returns. As Tian Tian is seen returning in the distance with a shopping bag, the man turns his head slightly, a mischievous glint in his violet eyes. Despite having just finished eating, he issues another startling command. "I've filled up. You wipe my mouth." His look returns, this time more of a challenge than a cold stare. testing the boundaries of her willingness to serve his whims. The pink-haired woman is left in a state of utter shock, her face turning a deep shade of crimson. The frame focuses on her wide, disbelieving eye and her gritted teeth as she processes his latest, even more forward request. Her thoughts race in a frantic circle of confusion and embarrassment. He even still wants to? The story leaves her at a crossroads, caught between the returning friend and the increasingly bold demands of the man sitting across from her.
In the first scene, a young woman with vibrant pink hair tied in a high ponytail looks up with a curious and slightly surprised expression. She has noticed someone standing behind her friend Tian Tian. Her eyes are wide as she asks, "Eh? Tian Tian, the person behind you, is that student of our school?" The bright, clear sky in the background suggests a warm afternoon on campus or a nearby hangout spot. As the perspective shifts, we see the person she was questioning. A handsome young man with dark, sleek hair and a confident smirk leans in. Another girl, presumably Tian Tian, turns her head in confusion, looking around as she replies, "Where? I don't see it." The pink-haired girl watches the interaction closely, her expression turning slightly more intense as she observes the boy's arrival. As the interaction continues, the focus shifts to the pink-haired girl's internal monologue. While she maintains a relatively calm exterior, her thoughts are sharp and frustrated. A jagged speech bubble reveals her true feelings toward the boy. Sneaky like a crook, this guy is only good at torturing others. It is clear there is a history of tension or of rivalry between them, and she finds his charming demeanor to be nothing more than a facade. In the final moment, the pink-haired girl becomes visibly flustered. Her face is flushed with a deep pink blush, and she avoids direct eye contact, looking down or away with a strained smile. Trying to break the tension and make a quick exit, she laughs nervously and points out the time. Maybe I was wrong. It's been over 1 p.m. Let's go." She is clearly eager to put some distance between herself and this sneaky boy who has her so worked up. The young man seems perfectly aware of the effect he has on those around him. He wears a stylish dark blazer over a light gray shirt, resting his hand near his mouth as he lets out a soft, knowing chuckle. Adorned with a playful flower background effect typical of manhwa aesthetics, he radiates a teasing, mischievous energy, clearly enjoying whatever reaction he has managed to provoke. The sun shines brightly over a clear blue sky as two young women stand outside, caught in a moment of hurried transition. The girl with a long, vibrant pink ponytail and a bright orange blouse leans in toward her friend, a gentle but insistent smile on her face. Her companion, dressed in a simple white t-shirt featuring a cute bunny on the moon graphic, looks startled. Clutching a blue plastic bag filled with what appears to be groceries, she asks with a look of confusion, "Huh? What about food?" Her friend doesn't miss a beat, placing a hand on her shoulder to usher her forward, declaring that there is simply no more time and they must head straight to school. The atmosphere shifts from the breezy outdoors to the sterile, tense environment of a corporate office. The two girls are now seated across a large, dark wooden desk, facing a middle-aged executive known as Director Ye. The pink-haired girl, taking the lead, leans forward with a look of serious concern. She reminds the director of their previous arrangement, her voice steady as she questions him. "Director Ye, didn't we agree last time that there would be products tomorrow night?" The weight of the situation hangs heavy in the air, a sharp contrast to their earlier morning rush. Director Ye, a stout man in a formal dark suit and tie, sits back in his chair with a dismissive wave of his hand. His eyes are narrowed, and his expression is one of cold professionalism, devoid of empathy. He delivers the bad news with clinical detachment, explaining that his company has just secured a large order. He flatly informs the young women that their advertisement will be delayed, stating ruthlessly, "I cannot because of a small advertisement of yours that lose a large customer." To him, their project is a minor inconvenience compared to a bigger paycheck. Insulted and desperate, the pink-haired girl stands her ground, her face flushing with a mix of anger and shock. Her eyes narrow as she stares down the director, her shadow falling across her face to emphasize her fury. She isn't backing down from the corporate bullying. "Our agreement has been signed legally," she retorts sharply, her voice trembling with indignation. "You want to breach the contract." Beside her, her friend remains quiet, but wears a look of deep worry, realizing that their simple school day plans have spiraled into a high-stakes legal battle over their future.
The atmosphere in the room turned cold as the older man, seated behind his desk, threw his hands up in a gesture of dismissive indifference. With a weary and somewhat cynical expression, he offered a blunt ultimatum. "If you don't want to, I can return the deposit." His attitude suggested that he was more than willing to walk away from the deal if it meant avoiding further headaches. The young woman with vibrant pink hair, tied back in a high ponytail, gasped in indignation. Her face was flushed with anger, her eyes wide as she glared at the man. "You, what a mess!" she cried out, her voice trembling with frustration at the sudden turn of events and the unprofessionalism of the situation. Before she could continue her protest, a new presence made himself known. A tall, sharp-looking man stood leaning against the doorway, his arms folded across his chest in a relaxed yet commanding posture. He wore a dark, stylish blazer over a patterned white t-shirt, looking every bit the part of a confident observer. "You will not be beautiful if you quarrel," he remarked smoothly, his voice cutting through the tension with a hint of condescension. As he shifted his weight, he continued his verbal assault, looking down upon the pink-haired woman and the small office they occupied. "Moreover, find a small company like this just to advertise." He trailed off, the implication clear. He found the entire endeavor beneath them. Stepping further into the light, his face was revealed, handsome but etched with a cold, mocking smirk. His eyes narrowed as he targeted the woman's professional concerns. "Don't you afraid that the product quality is too bad, so that cannot to use?" he asked, his tone dripping with sarcasm. It was a calculated jab, designed to mock both her choice of business partners and the validity of her project.